Welcome back to In the Garden. I'm joined here with Kraig from Grange Co-op, and we're talking about planting tomatoes in pots. Now let's get our hands dirty and let's put these bad boys in the pots. What do we first need to do?
Yeah, first thing is just to remember what kind of tomato we're using here. So this is a bush type tomato. Most of the big vine type tomatoes you really want to do in the ground plantings or really big pots. For something here that's more of a patio size pot, we want to do one that specifically on the back of the tag says it is determinate. Determinate is the word you want to look for. That means it's a bush type. This specific type, the variety is patio. So it's a very compact, small plant, perfect for in a pot on your patio. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out. So hold, why don't you hold?
Okay, I'll hold this and you
hold
pull
that.
it out.
And so so tomatoes are different from a lot of other plants. Most plants, when you plant them, you don't want to bury them deeper than what the soil level is. Tomatoes, though, have these little hairs on the side of the stalk. And if you put those under the soil level, those turn to roots. And so you can give the plant a much bigger root system to start with, which ends up with a much more vigorous and healthy plant overall by planting it deeper. So what we can do is we're actually putting this kind of deep in the pot, and we're going to bury parts of this plant that normally you wouldn't when you're planting a pot in the ground or any kind of a plant in the ground. So I'm going to take off a few of these little sprigs. We're going to take some of this Harvest Supreme, and I'll let you get in there as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some of this Harvest Supreme. This has a lot of nutrients. It's a compost. There's chicken manure in it. There's a lot of other good, healthy stuff for your plants. And so this is a really lot of nutrient dense compost. So we're going to put some of that around the plant. I'm not going to right now, but we could put some fertilizer in as well that would give you a little bit extra. What you'd want to do with the fertilizer is put some in that specifically says it's for tomatoes. That will help you from getting blossom end rot. The tomatoes need extra calcium to keep from that, so you want to make sure your fertilizer specifically says tomatoes on it. And then we're going to fill up the rest with our soil here. So we can go ahead and put that in.
And so with these, how often do we need to water these tomato plants in the pots?
Yeah, so you really just want to be doing it when the soil, the first few inches of the soil on top is dried out. Tomatoes, tomatoes tend to be overwatered in general by people. And so if you can go ahead and add in, if you add a lot of moisture constantly, you can develop some problems. You can get some blossom end rot problems from inconsistent watering, and you also can just actually dilute the flavor in your tomatoes.
Okay, and so then how long will this take to start to bloom?
So different varieties are going to be different. The back of your tag is going to tell you how many days. So this one says maturity harvest at 70 days. That generally means 70 days from sowing date. So I don't know how long along this plant is when it was sowed, but generally that is a 70-day tomato is a fairly early, not super early, but a lot of times the numbers you're looking for on a tomato for days are going to be anywhere between, a lot of times the very high 50s is a really early tomato into around maybe the 90-day range for a really late tomato. But you're certainly going to be getting fruit off these guys certainly early to midsummer all the way through until we get frost.
All right, well, if you were interested in potting some tomato plants, you can always head to a Grange Co-op store and ask for all the help you need. Or for more information, you can check out our website at kdrv.com. Thanks for joining us in the garden.